We thought you'd like to wear one today.
Welcome to some awesome facts about the famous 80s teen comedy Porky's. Released in 1982 but set in 1954, Porky's tells the story of a group of Florida high school teenagers looking for adventure and action. When they arrive at Porky's sleazy bar, they get scammed and dumped in the swamp by the owner, sparking a desire for revenge along with some romantic escapades. Here are 20 weird and totally unexpected facts about Porky's that you might not know, plus a lesser-known bonus fact. Stand clear. The sparks are about to fly. Porky's isn't entirely fictional. Director Bob Clark based the movie on his own formative teenage years in Florida during the 1950s. From pranks to strip club raids, Clark pulled stories directly from his high school buddies' greatest hits. He once said, "Everything in the movie either happened to me or someone I knew. The whorehouse in the swamp? Real? The humiliation? Absolutely real. The movie was like a yearbook from hell." It's surprisingly true to life how much of the script, which often feels outlandish, was based on real experiences. Clark wrote the script for Porky's in 1979 while he had glandular fever.
Yeah, we thought you might like to wear one today.
Jimmy!
Even the character Porky in the film wasn't entirely fictional. He was based on a real person, a real-life bar owner who allowed minors to drink at his establishment. Even more astonishingly, this man kept a lion as a pet and caged it right there in his bar. He was known to be involved in all kinds of shady dealings, painting a complex and risky picture of the bar's operations. It's hard to believe such a place existed in real life, where underage kids could drink and face a lion. Ultimately, this bizarre bar closed down in 1967. The real-life Porky owner also passed away in 1972, reportedly by suicide. This character's story adds another layer of truth, but also surprise and shock, showing that reality can sometimes be stranger than fiction. Initially, this classic teen comedy didn't actually go by the name Porky's as we know it today. Instead, it had a simpler title and Growing Up. However, producers expressed concerns that this title was too generic and didn't have the same pull to draw audiences to theaters. Director Bob Clark recognized this issue and pushed hard for the name Porky's, named after the notorious bar prominent in the film. This was a smart and bold decision, as it created a direct and strong association with the story's central setting. The proof was in audience testing. They immediately remembered the name Porky's, confirming its power and uniqueness. This change proved that a suitable title can make a huge difference in how audiences receive a film. Despite being full of sunshine and southern vibes, Porky's was actually filmed in Chile, Canada. The reason was to take advantage of government tax incentives. Filmmakers recreated Florida landscapes on a low budget north of the border to save money. They had to bring in palm trees, search for swamps, and the actors had to pretend it was 32 degrees Celsius, 90 degrees Fahrenheit, while freezing cold. If you look closely, you'll see some background actors shivering during filming. Because it was a Canadian production, director Bob Clark received the sole screenwriting credit, even though he was a co-writer due to him being an American citizen, a technicality related to taxes. The film received funding from Melvin Simon Productions and Astral, a Canadian media company. Have you ever seen Porky's? Comment yes or no below, or let us know what country you're from. Executives at 20th Century Fox were hesitant about Porky's. They thought it was too risky, too wild, and wouldn't reach audiences. However, test screenings told a different story. Teenagers laughed, quoted lines, and bought tickets like crazy. One executive admitted, "We just don't get it." But audiences definitely got it, and just like that, the movie went from being shelved to a box office hit. It was a very bold film, called The Animal House of 1982 by Time Out magazine, and served as inspiration for later films like American Pie and Road Trip. However, an early cut of the film received an X rating from the MPAA. This was very serious because X-rated films typically perform poorly at the box office and have limited release. Therefore, cuts were made to bring Porky's rating down to R. The film Porky's faced an outright ban in Ireland immediately after its release, a pretty serious move for any film. This showed that the film's bold and controversial nature extended beyond American borders. However, this worrying ban was lifted after just 19 short days, allowing Porky's to be screened again and doing quite well in Ireland.
What are you gonna do about it?
Nonetheless, elsewhere, the film suffered heavy cuts when aired on TV, with some versions having over 20 minutes of original content removed. These cuts highlight the challenges Porky's faced in fitting broad broadcast standards, but also emphasize the film's edgy moments. Despite these hurdles, the film still found its way to audiences, even if sometimes through a heavily censored version. The role of Porky Williams, the notorious bar owner in the film Porky's, ultimately went to Chuck Mitchell, a perfect choice for the character's image. Surprisingly, before Mitchell took the role, the person seriously considered for the part wasn't a professional actor, but a real-life deputy named Don Liddon. This was an unusual choice, showing that filmmakers sought authenticity even from unexpected sources. However, Liddon didn't get the part for a rather humorous and specific reason. It was believed that his belly wasn't big enough and his physique in general was too slender. Clearly, the production team wanted a well-fed Porky Williams, someone with a sufficiently beefy build to exude the character's power and menace. So, Chuck Mitchell, with his more suitable physique, became the ideal choice, delivering an authentic and unforgettable Porky Williams on screen. Although Porky's is set in a high school, most of the actors playing students were in their mid to late 20s or almost 30. For example, Dan Monahan, Pee-wee, was 26, Mark Harrier, Billy, was 27, and Scott Columbie, Brian, was 29. Columbie was even 32 by the time of the third installment, Porky's Revenge. This isn't uncommon in films, for instance, the cast of Grease or Ralph Macchio in Karate Kid. One critic even joked that the students in the film looked like substitute teachers. Before becoming the fashion and glamour icon Samantha Jones in the Sex and the City series, actress Kim Cattrall had a memorable role in Porky's, portraying a coach with a wild secret. In the film, she was nicknamed Lassie by her friends, an interesting detail that few Sex and the City fans know. Kim Cattrall herself later shared about this experience, calling it the strangest shoot of her life, indicating that what happened on set was probably far from normal. However, there's no denying that this role helped advance her career in the entertainment industry. From Porky's, she went on to star in another wild comedy, Police Academy, affirming her versatile acting skills in the comedy genre. Dan Monahan, who played Pee-wee, one of Porky's central characters, had a unique characteristic that few know about: his laugh.
His name's Michael Hart.
According to the film crew, Monahan's laugh was so ridiculous that it constantly interrupted takes. What's special is that this wasn't an intentional performance or an acting effort. It was simply how he laughed in real life. This genuine and unusual laugh caused many hilarious situations on set. Crew members frequently had to stop filming because every time Monahan laughed, everyone behind the camera couldn't help but burst into laughter. This detail not only added to the film's natural humor, but also demonstrated the authenticity of what happened during production. It was these ridiculous and unexpected moments that contributed to Porky's unique appeal and entertainment, living up to audience expectations for behind-the-scenes stories. Nancy Parsons, the actress who played the memorable Coach Balbricker in Porky's, was originally not a comedic actress, but someone extensively trained in drama. When she read the script for the famous and notorious locker room scene where her character was teased by the boys, she was shocked and almost quit the role. This was an understandable reaction for a serious, dramatic actress facing such bold comedic content. However, after understanding the film's absurdist tone and satirical purpose, she decided to give her all to the role. Her serious and dedicated acting transformed that scene into an iconic and unforgettable moment in teen comedy history. Parsons' commitment elevated a potentially controversial scene into a memorable comedic element, demonstrating her talent. The surprisingly true-to-life nature of Porky's caused a hilarious and awkward legal situation right after the film's release. A teacher from Florida claimed that one of the characters in the film was based on him, and he was not happy about it at all. This teacher even threatened legal action with a defamation accusation, showing how seriously he viewed the issue. However, the filmmaker's response was incredibly blunt and humorous. They said, "If you see yourself in that role, that's your business." With that argument, the lawsuit ultimately went nowhere, demonstrating the crew's confidence in the satirical nature of their work. This bizarre story became part of the film's behind-the-scenes legend, further reinforcing the belief that truth is stranger than fiction. One of the most infamous and controversial scenes in Porky's is the prank in the girls' locker room, where the guys try to peek at the girls. This scene caused backlash from some groups of audiences and critics who debated whether it was too much. Specifically, some critics criticized the film's treatment of female characters and the childish antics. However, director Bob Clark staunchly defended the scene, explaining that it was satirical. He emphasized that the scene was intended to mock immature behavior, not to encourage it. This explanation shows that behind the wild humor, Porky's still contained a deeper message and meaning about teenage insecurity. Despite its wild humor, Bob Clark stated that Porky's was ultimately about teenage insecurity. Specifically, the kind of insecurity that emerges when young guys try to act like grown men. He said it was about boys who think they're men but don't even know what that means. It's chaotic, yes, but there's a surprising bit of warmth behind the jokes. Do these revelations change how you see Porky's? Can a wild comedy hide a deep message? Think about it, because the drama's still ahead. Before Porky's, most teen films were sweet or dramatic. After Porky's, the game changed. The film essentially invented the genre and kicked off a wave of wild, no-holds-barred teen comedies. Its influence can clearly be seen in films like Revenge of the Nerds and Superbad. The formula, awkward teens plus ridiculous situations equals box office magic. When Porky's was released, it was a huge hit in Canada. Porky's became the highest-grossing film in Canada and held that position for 24 years. It was finally surpassed by the film Bon Cop, Bad Cop in 2006, and then by Resident Evil, Afterlife in 2010. To this day, Porky's still ranks third on the list of highest-grossing films in Canada. So whether you like Porky's or not, it's truly a significant chapter in Canadian cinema history. Porky's was released in November 1981 and played through 1982, becoming a huge success, earning $136 million on a $4 million budget. It became the fifth highest-grossing film of 1982. However, critics didn't like the film and criticized its celebration of bad behavior. Siskel and Ebert specifically called it one of the worst films of 1982, particularly regarding its treatment of female characters and childish antics. This is interesting because they later praised Revenge of the Nerds, a film which, in the opinion of the source's viewer, was no different from Porky's in its portrayal of main characters, perhaps even worse than Porky's. Despite critical dissatisfaction, audiences still flocked to theaters. Who would have thought Porky's had a novelization? But what's even weirder is that Porky's had a video game on Atari 2600. In the game, players took on the role of Pee-wee, tasked with destroying Porky's bar by getting items from the bathroom, crossing a highway, building a ladder, and performing pole vaults over the swamp. The game didn't last long and was pulled from shelves for being too wild, but if you find a copy today, collectors will pay top dollar for it. Because Porky's was a surprise hit, 20th Century Fox really wanted Bob Clark to return to direct Porky's Tseki to ensure it would also be a big success. However, at that time, Clark wanted his next project, the more family-friendly film A Christmas Story, to get off the ground. He only agreed to return to direct Porky's Tseki for 20th Century Fox if he had the freedom to simultaneously direct A Christmas Story for MGM. Eager to have a Porky's sequel, 20th Century Fox agreed. Both Porky's Tseki and A Christmas Story premiered in 1983. Porky's II did better at the box office with $55 million, but A Christmas Story proved to have more staying power and longevity, becoming a holiday classic. Right after Porky's hit theaters, a fan somehow got hold of an actor's hotel phone number. This person prank called them using lines from the movie. At first, the actors were confused, but then the calls kept coming. One actor said, "That's when we knew the movie was a massive hit. People were now prank calling us. The chaos had officially come full circle." From the director's personal memories to breaking box office records and spawning an Atari game, Porky's truly is a work full of surprises. Despite being hated by critics, the film shaped the teen comedy genre and left an indelible mark on popular culture. Hope you've discovered some weird and totally unexpected things about Porky's through this video. If you love movie facts like these, don't forget to hit Like, share the video, and subscribe to the Weird Film Facts channel so you don't miss other fascinating behind-the-scenes stories. See you in the next video.